Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Palmer. And if you're here, it's probably because you're a high performer, a real estate agent, a business owner, or an entrepreneur that's interested in maximizing your physique, your finances, and your family time using fitness and nutrition as force multipliers in your life. If you're not already a part of the Facebook group, definitely go to Nate Training Systems, n8trainingsystems.com/group. That's where we stream these podcast episodes every Tuesday. You can join in and ask questions. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, a lot of great resources. So anything that you need, hopefully I've already had it there, or something that we can help you out with. Okay. Just want to make sure that you have what you need. I want everyone in this group to get healthier and wealthier as a part of being in the group. That's what we stand for. So again, go to n8trainingsystems.com/group to join us there. If you're already in the group and watching live, we're super excited to have you because today we're going to be talking about how to fast to ensure that you're not making one of these three critical mistakes that can cause muscle loss and fat gain over time, as well as other things, negative things like suppressing your immune function, increasing adrenal fatigue, just generally like beating yourself up. Okay. So this is going to be very, very important. And if you've ever considered fasting, if you thought about like, what fast should I be doing personally? There's a lot of different options out there. This is going to be a very important episode for you to listen in on. So tell us you're excited here. Drop me a thumbs up, drop me a like, ask a question. We'll be going back through. And if you have any questions specifically on you, drop a GIF in the comments below. Send me an email, nate@n8trainingsystems.com. We'll chat a little bit more. So before we get started, one of the things that we love to do in the community is to give a shout out to the people who are accomplishing big things. Okay. So a couple really awesome wins that I wanted to share with you guys today is number one, Martin just finished 4 weeks in the $1 Million Body Program. And he had dropped 21 pounds in 28 days. So I was super pumped, especially since this guy was already fit and already working out. So if you're not fit and not working out, great. $1 Million Body Program could be an awesome fit for you. If you are already there and you plateaued a little bit, then this also could be a great fit. I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Alex Anderud as well. Alex is we just tweaked a couple little things. He started to see some progress already because this guy is on fire right now. He's killing his business. He's an awesome dad, and he's already lost a lot of weight. So he's been really doing a good job on his own, but we hit a little bit of a plateau. So dialed on a couple of different things, made it very streamlined. And one of the things I love about Alex is that he's like, yeah, I just want to set it and forget it. So came with a little bit of a plan that's going to help him put this stuff on autopilot and just do the things that he's already loves doing. He's already good at. So Alex, appreciate you, man. Keep it up. Okay. So I want to get in today to some of the dangers of intermittent fasting, how they can cause muscle loss and fat gain if they're done inappropriately, who intermittent fasting should be for, what the best type of intermittent fasting is, and answer any questions that we might have. So first, I was an early adopter of intermittent fasting. I followed along a couple different methodologies. Like in 2009, 10, I did a 16/8 intermittent fasting personally for 12 months, just because I liked it and it fit with my lifestyle. But I did it a little bit incorrectly, and I think what saved me was that I was young and I kind of just could bounce back, and my life wasn't extremely stressful. I didn't have any kids, so I got plenty of sleep, and I wasn't drinking a ton of caffeine at the time, which I think made a big difference as well. So, and the other thing is that I think that in a situation like that where I was fasting for a year, yeah, it was an easy way to maintain a weight, but I was never able to add additional muscle, and it was very, very difficult to really get a ton of definition that a lot of us are looking for. So, but a lot of people would be like, oh, you look good, you look fit, et cetera. And for that reason, I would recommend intermittent fasting to a lot of people. And one of those people I recommended it to was my cousin, and she's female, works at a hospital. And so I was like, oh, what you should do is just do this 16-hour fast. And she was like, great, that works with my schedule. It fits perfectly. And I know a lot of us are like, great, I don't have to eat for a certain period of time during the day. Sign me up, right? I don't have time. I'm really busy. I know nurses are always running around. Sometimes us as entrepreneurs or business owners, we're wearing a bunch of different hats, trying to figure stuff out. So it can be hard to get a good meal. So intermittent fasting can sound like this panacea, this easy button, right? To get these amazing results. And then after a while, she just said hey, it's not working anymore. I'm not really losing weight. My energy's been so low. I'm not sleeping very well. And I was like, oh, no, you're probably fine. Don't worry about it. But what ended up happening is I started doing some more research. I kind of dove into the science a little bit, and I found out that This 16-hour fast and intermittent fast for females can be extremely detrimental. From a biological level, females' bodies are like pre-menopause, care about something very specific, which is reproduction. So you're like my wife just had a baby on Saturday. So I got a new baby at home. And what she was talking to her doctor, and basically her doctor was like, you need to continue to eat really well. And she's like, oh yeah, I want to make sure that taking care of the baby. And she's like, no, the baby's going to get what the baby needs. The baby's going to take it from you. The baby will take nutrients from your muscles, from your bones. It's going to get the nutrients it needs. You, on the other hand, are going to be playing second fiddle. So your body cares about reproduction, reproductive health, and making sure that the whole reproductive system in females has exactly what it needs to procreate. So that brings up like a very key point of fasting that a lot of trainers or gurus or fasting people won't tell you, is that like exercise, like not sleeping, like drinking, like a lot of these other things, fasting is a stressor. It's a stressor on your body. Okay. So for females, when you have a stressor that you're basically installing 16 hours a day for a undetermined amount of time for weeks on end, the body will start being like, whoa, hold up, and start causing hair loss, insomnia, missed periods, just general feelings of low energy, muscle loss, and then crazily enough, abdominal fat gain, just because your body is out of whack. The systems in there are not functioning at a high level. Your adrenals are probably a little bit messed up. You don't have enough calories during the time when you need it. And then this can also lead to a couple of different disordered eating patterns as well. So for females, fasting either in the style of the 16-hour fast with an 8-hour feeding window, or it's called the warrior diet, popularized by Ori Hofmeckler, which is a 20-hour fast with a 4-hour feeding window, can be very, very negative if done over time. Now, the cutoff for this seems to be about the 4 to 6 week mark. So if you're a female and you've been fasting for about 4 weeks, great. And you're like, oh, I've got great results. It's awesome. Okay, do you, boo-boo. But I just want to make sure that you're keeping your eye on a couple different things. Hair, like energy levels, if you're how much you're sleeping at night, and then any sort of missed periods would be a big red flag and a sign we need to stop and start kind of rebuilding your fitness and nutrition program from the ground up. Fasting. So that was kind of my story with fasting. And I was like, well, this is not that great, I guess. Like it's negative for people. Maybe it's a little too much of a stressor for like a certain amount of populations. And then I found a very specific type of fast that seemed to work amazingly. It resulted in consistent weight loss over time, definition in your abdominal areas and kind of the rib cage area. So like really losing the visceral fat and the love handles, which we talked a lot about on last week's podcast, is how to get rid of these. And this is a clutch way to do that. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to accomplish that at the end. But right now, what I want to talk about is who can be negatively affected by continual fasting, continual stresses in your life. So we already talked about females, and like that's 50% of the population, give or take. So that's a big group of people who can be affected negatively by accumulated stress done over time. So be real careful of this. If you know someone else who's fasting all the time and maybe is experiencing some of these, direct them to this podcast episode or let me know, send them to the group and I can provide some more information and feedback on that. We've got a huge article, like tons of Q&A that I've been researching for like the last 3 or 4 years that I can show you with a bunch of different references if you want any more information here. So drop that GIF, let me know. Who else is going to be affected negatively by chronic fasting though? High stress individuals. So I've seen this a lot with a couple of my clients who are like business owners. So one guy I knew, like he owned a business that was really, really growing here in the Phoenix area. And he was like, I want a easy plan to follow. And so he's like, I'm just going to start fasting. And so I watched him and he did a great job. First 3 or 4 weeks, he was like losing weight. He was getting his workouts in. I was like, you're fasting before your workouts? He's like, oh yeah, I feel really good. And then like week 4, he's like, bro, I hit a wall, like just tired, exhausted. He said he couldn't get through sales meetings. He was like falling asleep at 7 or 8 at night. His kids were like, Dad, wake up. What are you doing? So, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, do I need to have more caffeine? Do I need to take a caffeine break? Like what's happening? And it turns out It was just his lifestyle, already super high stress, already running around on a day-to-day basis, already working with vendors and clients and customers and building his email list and building all these like other things. So to add on an additional stressor, it eventually burned him out. Okay. And that's not what we want. We want something sustainable that you can do repeatedly that'll get you the results you're looking for. Another group of people, and this kind of goes in the same category, is people who are not getting enough sleep. If you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night, intermittent fasting is probably not the best choice for you. If you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night, intermittent fasting is not the right choice for you. Okay. So again, we just need to balance our stress level, our strain on a daily basis, and our recovery. Okay. So like you can have both. You can have high stress as long as you have high recovery. But when you miss that, when you miss the additional recovery that comes from sleep, that comes from eating nutritious foods, that comes from drinking enough water, that comes from getting massage, foam rolling, stretching, yoga, all these types of things, meditation, and you're not getting it, you're not filling your bucket back up and you're high stress all the time, you're going to burn out. And fasting falls into that stress bucket. Okay. So it's great. It's got its uses. There's a better way though. I'm going to share that with you at the end of this episode, or towards the end. I'm not going to be like, it's this and then turn it off. Okay. So we'll go into it. So, and then the last people that should be really wary of continual fasting is people with autoimmune disease. So if you have Hashimoto's, even if you have rheumatoid arthritis, if you have any other sort of like autoimmune disease, this is something that could be really detrimental for you long term. Again, it's like just kind of stacking up that stress, which can cause more inflammation, which is already what you have too much of as someone who has autoimmune. Okay. So the thing about the fasting that can people are like, oh, does this cause muscle gain, or like is this really like the secret pill? The two things that I found that from a physiological perspective or like a psychological perspective for people who are fasting is that oftentimes with an extended fast on a daily basis, the discomfort of the hunger that you're kind of going through on it like all day long makes you start thinking like similar to like a hard cardio workout, like, oh, I've earned the right to eat more food. I've earned the right. Like I didn't eat all day. Now I can just go buck wild. Now I can just get after it. I'm going to have 2 Chipotle burritos. I remember one time, okay, I'll never forget this. So I was doing that warrior diet that I already mentioned. So I'd fasted all day. I was basically sitting at the computer at the time. So I wasn't really working out very hard. I worked out in the morning, fasted all day, got home at 6 p.m. at night. And I was like, this boy wants to grub. Here we go. So I cracked 12 eggs into a pan. Okay. I put 6 red potatoes, not big ones, just like, small red potatoes, into the microwave, cooked them up a little bit, chopped them up, threw them into the pan with the eggs. And I made a dish that my roommates and I at the time called Mud Bucket. Okay. So it's potatoes. It was 12 eggs. I made 2 pounds of pollo asado. So barbecued chicken basically. And then I ate 2 slices of cheesecake at the end. Roughly, I calculated this to be about 3,000 calories, give or take. And I felt like shit. Just felt absolutely sick to my stomach. So much food, right? So it's like the psychological aspect of like, oh, I earned this. I did really good. I didn't eat it all. And now I can just grub. That can screw people up really hard. Okay. The other thing is that physically, and this is also something that I experienced with that epic meal, is that I felt unsatisfied even after I'd eaten like 1,500 calories, right? I didn't feel full. I was like, I might be full, but I haven't gorged yet. So physically, I started just cramming food, more food than was comfortable or more food than I needed, because, I wasn't eating meals throughout the day. So I kind of felt like I had to catch up. So those are 2 big aspects to fasting that can really get you down. Okay. Now another downside, and the one that people kind of address, but don't really, I don't see a lot of information that's super perfect about this, but muscle loss. Okay. Muscle loss during fasting. So if it's interesting because if you're not eating enough food or not eating the right kinds of foods, but you're still working out really hard, it's going to lead to, again, more accumulated stress. So more in the stress bucket, less in the recovery bucket. Okay. The real downside of this for a lot of people is that when you're working out in the morning and then not eating again until the PM, like waiting several hours to consume any food, the likelihood of building muscle and repairing muscle tissue is actually pretty slim. It slows way down, especially if you're only having like 2 injections of of food, protein, and carbs during the day, it's just not enough to really build muscle. So this is a recipe for a kind of like a circling the drain type of mentality, because you're gonna have your workouts are going to gradually decrease. If you're never fueling up and telling your body to repair and rebuild after a workout, you're going to like have weaker and weaker workouts. And then weaker workouts followed up by no food and followed up by just kind of like higher stress leads to catabolism, which basically is the opposite of anabolism, being anabolic. So anabolic means gain, growth. A lot of people think of like anabolic steroids, growth. And then catabolic means decrease, loss. Okay. So it can lead to your body becoming more catabolic and deriving a lot of its nutrients from your muscles. There's a lot more nutrients in muscles than there is in fat. Okay. So if you're, again, everything is communication with your body. We talk about this all the time. What are you communicating by doing like fasting, doing your hardcore workouts over and over and over again, and never really giving yourself a chance to like let your body repair and rebuild in the moment? Catabolic muscles. Okay. So, and then what we start seeing is we start having that binge, whether that's in the afternoon or the evening. You have it's this recipe for your muscle loss during the day and then fat gain at night if you're having a huge binge like I just explained that I was. So and I know that we talk a lot about breakfast is the most important meal of the day, can you skip it, etc. But statistically, when we look at people who are overweight, the pattern is this: you skip breakfast, maybe you have lunch, maybe you have an energy drink, and then you binge at night. You have dinner, then you eat afterwards, and you eat before the TV and stuff like that. So like, not to say that you can't do that in a healthy way. It's possible for sure, as long as all the other variables are controlled. But if you just look at like success or the opposite of success, what are the people who are getting the highest amount of success doing? What are the people who are like overweight doing? And overweight and obese people tend to skip the first couple of meals of the day and binge at night. Okay, so we don't want to start creating that as our own eating pattern, because it can lead to this vicious cycle, this downward spiral. So those are the ways that fasting can screw us up, especially if we're doing them wrong. So the last one we just talked about is, how do you structure your workouts in a way that you still able to work out hard, recover well, but then also maintain your lower stress levels, high recovery, and feel really good about the fasting that you're doing. Okay. And I'm going to get into that right now. I wasn't going to make you wait that much longer. So I've talked a lot about that 16-8, 24, kind of the daily repeated fast where you're fasting on a regular basis more and more often. Now, here's what I found to be one of the most powerful types of fastings. And this is something I was experimenting around with in like 2014, 2015, because I had a lot of clients who I had seen these results with in terms of not getting what they were looking for out of the daily repeated fast. And I was like, well, this apparently this works on paper. Like, what's causing this? That's when I dove in. I discovered that most people are binging. Most people aren't counting calories. Most people don't know what they're having. Most people are not refueling their muscles after a hard workout. So there's got to be a better way. And that's when I started doing 24-hour fasts on a weekly or bi-weekly, every other week basis. Okay. So doing a 24-hour fast once a week or once every other week. And the benefits of this were crazy. Okay. Number one, 24 hours of non-eating basically cuts out about 18% of your eating window throughout the week. So maybe you're having, if all other things are the same and you're still eating Filibertos and you're still getting breakfast burritos all the time and you're still drinking Coke, but you just take off Wednesday and you don't eat on Wednesday, then you've already reduced your calorie consumption by almost 18%, which can be very powerful, especially as like a nutritional insurance policy. So you want to go a little bit deeper than just like cutting out one day of eating and eating shit the rest of the time. You want to make sure that you're fueling your body with the right nutrients, and you have the right framework for eating, which we talk about in the $1 Million Body Program all the time. But the 24-hour fast also enables you to be in autophagy, the process of your body's natural cleaning out of old dead cells, repairing, rebuilding, that process. And what we've seen recently is that a 24-hour period of autophagy is literally 3.5 times more effective than a 16-hour period of autophagy. So what that means is that you can get 3.5 days of 16/8 fasting, the effects of in just one 24-hour period. You can get 3 days worth of effects of 16/8 in one 24-hour period just by fasting for the 24 hours. So this is really powerful stuff. Also, now we're not giving ourselves a constant stressor on a regular basis. We're giving ourselves an intermittent stress. Okay. So let's say our stress level's here. We do the fast once a week. It spikes up and it comes right back down and evens out. So it puts us in a really good position to have a little bit of stress, but then relax. And if you listen to the podcast before, we talk a lot about the sympathetic nervous system. That's fight or flight, shake and bake. And then parasympathetic, that's your rest and digest. And so with a daily fasting, you're going to be pushing yourself into that sympathetic, always fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. And eventually that's going to elevate to the point where you're like, man, I'm burnt out. Whereas if you do this only once per week, you get fight or flight, then you come back down, rest and digest. Okay. And gives yourself the ability to moderate, but still insert specific stressors into your life on the right times. Okay. So what's the right day to do a 24-hour fast? A couple of criteria that I'm always looking for. Number one, stay busy. Don't do this on a weekend. And if you do this on a weekend, you're going to notice really quickly how much you think about food during the day. It's not impossible. I've done it before several times, but it's a little bit more annoying, especially if you're new to fasting. So stay busy. I like a midweek because I try to pack all my calls, most of my work into a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and that's a great day to fast. Okay. The other benefits of fasting, like in this style, is you can actually facilitate and build more muscle with a 1 day per week fast than you can on a every single day fast. Well, number one, think about this. If I told you that the best way to build muscle is to not eat food because you're fasting all day, if you just think about that, it sounds like bullshit, right? And it is, because on one hand, you have people talking about 6 meals per day. You have the ultimate nutrition advice. Some people are like, oh, you need to fast all day. It's as usual as somewhere in the middle, but eating is always more anabolic than not eating. Eating food is more anabolic. It creates more growth than not eating food. But here's the awesome thing is if you're only taking that 1 day per week to fast, then you're putting your body into a state of autophagy for the 24 hours. You're increasing your insulin sensitivity. You're increasing the rate of protein synthesis, which means how much protein your muscles and your body can use. So that when you come out of the fast, you're going to be in a more anabolic state. So you're going to be able to use your calories in a much healthier way towards muscle gains, towards repairing, towards rebuilding, rather than if you're doing it on a regular basis and then binging at the end of the night, which is going to put you in a perfect place for fat gain. So just so we make sure we got this, because this is a really important point. If you do fast, you are going to come out of the fast with more sensitivity to your nutrients. Okay. And if you eat something healthy and ideal for your body, it's going to prioritize putting those nutrients into muscle, versus every single day fast and then binge, fast and then binge, fast and then binge. By the way, doesn't that sound like anorexia to you? Doesn't that sound like an eating disorder? We talk about it like that. If every day you're doing that, then you're going to become desensitized. You're going to put yourself in a position where more fat gain, especially if you're having those gigantic evening binge meals of 2,000 plus calories. But if you only do it once per week, you get a ton of the results from the insulin sensitivity, lowering your fasting glucose, making sure your body is more receptive to the food you're putting in it. And you're going to be able to build more muscle long-term without the fat gain that comes along with bulking, because you've taken out 18% of your calories. So you can actually eat a little bit more on those days, especially around your workouts. So if you do this, you're actually going to be able to eat a little bit more on the days when you're not fasting and still gain weight while staying lean, which is kind of the ideal. Now, obviously, if you're I want to put on 60 pounds of muscle, I need to go I need to play football at D1 or whatever. I just need to get huge. Fasting is not the best option. If you need to get huge, fasting is not the best option, because eating is always more anabolic than not eating. Always, always, always. But if you want to gain muscle without gaining any extra fat. If you want to continue to gain have some lean gains, show your nice muscle tone, then this 24-hour fast can be a perfect solution for you because it gives you those nutritional airbags or nutritional insurance that can keep you lean, keep your workouts very, very effective, rebuild post-workout, as well as it's still ensuring that you're burning mostly belly fat and becoming more sensitive to your body's chemicals. The last thing to note on this is just on workout days. Like, should you work out on a fasting day? Yeah, I think you like working outs is fine. I wouldn't do your heavy leg days or your heavy days, but moving around, going for a long walk is an awesome way to do this. Like I like a little longer steady state cardio, pretty like a low key, 45 minutes or like an hour long walk. And if you wear a weight vest, so much the better. But doing a little bit of cardio on those days can actually accelerate your results as long as you don't push yourself, again, the stress too high with the recovery too low. So on a fasting day, that's a great day to do some movement, some mobility, a little bit of cardio, maybe get a massage, do some yoga. I don't know if you have a couple of kids at home, maybe that's not you can't just fit all those things into a day, but using your fasting day as a day to recover and rebuild is an excellent way to break up the week. So you're having those days where it's anabolic, working out hard, recovering hard, and then you're having the days where you're fasting, increasing your body's sensitivity to nutrients, and really feeling like you are able to take the food you're putting in your body and build muscle, repair and rebuild. Okay. And if you're like, oh man, I'm trying to gain some size and I'm fasting once a week and it's still not working, cut the fast by once a week. So now we go to once every 2 weeks. So that's an easy way to make sure that you are still getting enough calories and not cutting out too much, because now you're cutting out 9% of your calories per month versus 18% per month. Okay. So we're kind of still looking at like the averages over time rather than just like on a day-to-day basis. So I hope this is really helpful for you. This is a question I've been getting a lot of. So if you have any further questions, either drop me a line, nate@n8trainingsystems.com, take a screenshot of this podcast and throw it up in your social medias. I love seeing that. It really helps me out a ton. Or if you're in the Facebook group, drop me a note, drop me a GIF. And I'd love to talk a little bit further about this, because I do believe this is one of the most powerful concepts that if you master this, it can really facilitate you transforming into a person where no longer do you have to think about, oh, what should I eat? I know I need to lose weight. I need to get those last 20 pounds. We can just take all that clutter, that crap in the back of our minds that's just been lingering, and toss that out, because we've now figured out fitness and nutrition, and we can move on to the things that you love and enjoy. You're probably not if you're not a trainer, you're probably not loving the gym all the time. So let's deal with this. Let's figure out the long-term solution that gets you what you want. Let's install those pieces and let's forget about them. Like my buddy Alex said, let's put this on autopilot so we can go be brilliant at the things that we love and are important to us. So guys, if you have any questions about fasting, if you have any questions about the best way to fast to avoid muscle loss, to avoid fat gain, please drop them below. Send me a note. I'd love to hear anything that I can help out with, and I will talk to you very soon. Just remember, you can't beat the man who doesn't quit.